Oh, don't leave me alone. Oh, in fact, look at that. Oh, I've done a terrible faux pas there. Look at this. We are live, but there's too many things going on. Brand new equipment. Don't know what I'm doing. I'll tell you what, like, honestly, if I wasn't being paid so little, you'd throw me out, right? Let's be honest.
My goodness, my ADHD, this is just turning me upside down and inside out. You should see this studio, guys. It's crazy.
It is crazy. So much new stuff going on. Really fantastic. Learning the tricks of the trade of all the new equipment. And look, it's a wonderful time. I tell you what, as like I've said so many times before, future is so bright. You got to wear shades, right? There's a song in that.
I knew I should have brought my shades today.
How cheesy are we feeling? I'm ready to go maximum cheese. Okay, I'm going American levels of cheese here. Okay, straight into the show. Of course, it is the Genius Zone with
Terry Messenger.
Absolutely. You are the local genius. Oh, yeah. I don't think I'd cover myself as genius, but we'll go with mediocre. It's all right.
But I'm not a genius either.
I know.
Except for the fact that we've all got genius within us.
I do like that. I do like that a lot. I think we'll jump into the show today because I don't actually know what we're on about today. I really don't.
Just for a change?
Just for a change. Something new. I've been too busy out there playing with the new toys, trying to figure out what we're doing. So maybe, because I've got to learn how to wire out there. So maybe you can teach me how to rewire up here.
Yes. Good point.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because on the way here, I was thinking that our brain is really the software. And then I walk in here. I wasn't sure why that landed.
Right.
But one of my little downloads, like, why did I think that our mind is the software of everything we do, right? And then I walk in here and we're surrounded by new technology and software.
Yep.
But imagine what would happen if you just never cleared out your software and you really just kept doing one thing over the other, and 5, 10, 15, 40, 50 years later, you'd never done a download or cleared anything out.
Look, you are looking right now at Windows 95, okay? I'm just saying, okay? I've learned these things. I like those things. I stay there. You know, when I get new toys, I do like to play with them, but, you know, I don't like, I'm not going to lie, I don't like learning those. Well, no, change I'm okay with. It's weird, actually, because as I've gotten older, I've become more accepting of it. I don't know how that works.
Maybe you had to.
Maybe, yeah, you know what? I don't think I had any choice in the matter. But yeah, but you're so right, though. Okay, if you do think of your brain as, you know, hardware and software and what we're doing, when was the last time you did Control-Alt-Delete?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like everything else, you know, I try to tell my husband that unless he clears out his shed, he can't make room for new stuff.
Don't fool with a man's shed. Okay?
I know, but it's the same. Yeah. It's the same with everything, though, Aaron. If we don't make room for new stuff, how can we invite the new stuff in?
I get it. I really do. I understand. But we get so attached to our old stuff. And you never know in a shed. Look, I might need that one day. Okay.
That's exactly what Ian says.
Yeah.
Yep.
I used to, I don't anymore, but I used to have things in my shed that I would have had for 35 years.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because I might need it one day. You never know when you need that very strange bracket that you put in a safe place that you won't find.
Yep.
But, you know, you've put it away. Okay. One day you'll need that.
Yeah, well, you know, this is true. In fact, Ian always says that on the very rare occasion he will give something up, 3 weeks later he'll need it.
It is the way it happens.
And that's his justification. Yep. It's like the law of attraction. But truly, we do really need to get rid and download and renew our brains, Aaron, so we're not accumulating all these bad habits. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Bad habits.
Bad habits. Remember that song, Can't Help Myself?
If you'd warned me, I would have had it ready for you. There you go. And I tell you right now, be honest with yourself. And I'm not talking to you. I mean, everybody, okay? Yeah. You need to be honest with yourself. How many bad habits do we carry, right? Like, come on.
Can't count.
Can't count. No, I've run out of fingers. I have. I tried.
Look, everything is a habit. Like the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we do life, the way we, you know, relate to people, our success. Everything is created from what we have learnt from the past, right?
For sure.
But if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to keep getting the same thing.
Oh, look, same actions are going to get you the same results.
Yeah.
But we do
Yeah.
it. We do it.
We do.
Yeah.
We
It
do.
is hard
Yeah.
to make that big change.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe the change isn't actually that big. Maybe we just kind of pump it up in our lives,
True.
in our minds, to make it seem like, it's the greatest journey. The first step is the most important step. You've got to take that.
You do. One step out the door leads to Rome. If you're
Mm.
going to go to Rome, you can only eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Right.
And see, this is the biggest problem with most people, including myself.
What, that we don't eat elephants?
We think we have to eat the whole lot at
Right.
once.
Okay.
Okay, so, people, if they've got to clear out something,
Mhm.
they see it as the big picture and the
Yeah.
big mountain, and they go, oh, too hard.
Too
So they
hard?
don't do it. Or
Okay.
they overthink it. So your point about maybe it's not so hard is true, because that one little step
Mhm.
can take you to the next step. And there was a little illustration about, can you imagine this big tree, like with a big trunk like this?
Sure.
And then you get told you have to knock it down,
Mhm.
because you don't want to do that, because if you're a bit of a nature freak
I like
like
the
me and a
trees.
tree
Yeah,
hugger,
I am.
but the fact is, if you took an axe
Mhm.
and you just did one cut and one action every single day, do you know by fact that tree would eventually fall down?
Absolutely has to happen.
It
Yeah,
has
it
to.
has to fall.
It's
Yeah.
the law of
Yeah.
attraction. It's a law of gravity. It's just a fact, isn't it?
Oh, look, it's more than the vibe. It's more than the marbo. It's going to happen.
It is. It is. So I guess where I'm leading here is one step at a time. If we decide to take massive aligned action
Mhm.
in anything, and I was having a bit of a talk with you just before coming on here,
Yep.
and we were actually amazed at how unprepared we are every week that we jump on this show.
It's very true. But I think that's kind of the beauty of it, I think.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Oh, we better not change it then.
No, don't mess with it too much. No
Okay,
way.
so we'll leave it like that. But when I ask the question, what do you think we ought to talk about with addictions? I wonder if we can ask, like, is there anybody, any listeners or anyone that has a request
Yeah.
of an addiction
Mhm.
that they would like to conquer?
Oh, look, jump in the old comments section.
Yeah.
Send us a message of what you would like to conquer in your life. Or for that matter, it doesn't even have to be you. It could be someone in your life you'd like them to beat some sort of addiction, because look, habits are very hard to break.
Yeah. And some
Um,
people are secretive about it too.
Oh, very much.
And, this is the beauty of the work that I do, Aaron,
Mhm.
because you see, people don't have to discuss it. Like,
Okay.
they can come in and say, I have an addiction,
Yep.
and they don't have to go into deep detail with me.
Right.
And as a result, they become more open to the whole process,
Mhm.
because what we have to do, as long as that person knows, this is where we don't have any control. A lot of people think, if you're a hypnotherapist or you do NLP, it's a control game, but
Right.
it's not.
Okay.
You have to fundamentally find out, number one, do you want to make the change?
That's a
Like,
big deal.
that's the
Exactly.
first thing.
People have got to be prepared to make that change.
Yeah.
That is the first step.
Yes. And the second step is, well, imagine what it would be like if you did. Like, if you were free of that. So actually back up a little.
Mhm.
What is it that you do want to change? So that would be the next question that
Okay.
I ask people.
All right.
And so they've got to have an idea, and they don't have to say it, because if it's something deep and embarrassing and they don't want to discuss it, as long as they know. And then we have to kind of get them to analyze it.
Okay.
And we're taking the side
Mhm.
of the dark side.
Oh, hang on. Okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
Darth Vader for a second.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. That's it. So
Use the Force, Luke.
Yeah.
All right.
because if you try to go against the dark side,
Mm.
or the side that is doing the habit, the
Mhm.
subconscious mind is going like that.
Oh, yeah.
No
yeah,
deal,
Yep.
right? It's not going to move. It's not going to shake. It's just a natural, innate stubbornness.
Yeah, of course. Of
And
course.
so the way we do this is we kind of get to know that dark side.
Right.
and we get really over chatty about it,
Right.
and we talk over and over and over again. Like my son was doing a bad habit the other day, and he was doing it with his nose right. So I kept on talking about, so do you like doing that, Dan? And like how long do you do that? And how many times a day do you spend
Mhm.
actually doing that? He's, oh, shut up, mum.
Yeah.
I'm like, but if we over talk about it and then you actually analyze how many minutes a day you do that, how often a day you're doing it, and then calculate it by how often you're doing it every week. Imagine if all those hours wasted
A huge amount of time. You're right. You're
biting
right.
your nails or, rubbing the wrong spot or
Well,
doing whatever.
I don't know. Some spots are good to rub. I'm just saying. I'm going to throw one out to you. I've got a friend. I've got a friend. No, it's not. It's not. It's not me. Trust me, it's not me.
Okay.
But I do honestly have a friend who quietly smokes behind their son's back. Right.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't want his son to know that he smokes.
Mm.
Okay, because obviously it's not.
Well, I
great for
already
him.
know you're not a smoker, Aaron,
Yeah.
because I was shocked when I found out you'd only ever done it once.
Yeah, just the once.
Made me feel like a rebel.
One night of my life, that was enough. But just it wasn't my thing. I mean, I was raised by smokers. I saw it every day. So for me, just zero appeal, right?
Yeah.
Just never really. And also being into motor racing, all the sponsorship all over the cars and that. If anybody's going to be a smoker, it should be me, growing up with it and saying, but it actually worked the other way with me.
Especially when it used to be the cool kids.
Yeah. Well, it just, I don't know,
Yeah.
just never fallen for peer pressure. But yeah, this friend of mine, he goes out of his way to hide this smoking habit, really. When they go down the shops, he sneaks out the back and has a cigarette. And probably only has, still not good, but probably 5 a day or something like that.
Yeah. Do you know he is a big part of that addiction is the mischievous element of it.
I wondered if that was the case.
It is.
Yeah, there you go.
It's mischievous.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
We
And
like being a bit naughty, don't we?
We do. And it's like, and it's part of the thrill.
Okay.
In fact, if the more you bring something out into the light, you bring darkness out into the light, it'll dissolve that. So guaranteed, if he came forward and said, hey, look, I'm a smoker, it would lose a lot of its sex appeal.
Totally agree. And but I think it's funny, in my mind, I see it and I think they're both playing the game. I think the son knows. I think the son has always known. I think that they're both just, propping up each other's story there, right? I really do.
I believe you.
Yeah,
I truly believe you. And I remember my father, he was so strict on me when I was growing up, right?
Yep.
But if there was something that I did that was way over the boundary level, he would turn a blind eye to it.
Is that right?
He would.
Right.
Because he would be in fear of addressing me about it. And so he would sweat the small stuff.
Yep.
And not let me leave the house. So then
Right.
I'd have to sneak out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when something happened, he would kind of just like make out he didn't know. And I knew he knew.
That is an important part of being a father, though, especially
Is
when it
that
comes to
right?
daughters. Oh yeah. Plausible deniability. Trust me, it's the principle of being a dad when you've got
Okay.
daughters. You have to do that. We know what our daughters get up to. I mean, I watched my dad sort of knew what my sister was getting up to, and she was up to all sorts of naughty things. And even I can talk about my own life experience I remember very distinctly a day when I was 15 years age, and I come back from a party. Okay. First sign that maybe I'd been misbehaving was the fact that I woke up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Because I partied hard and I was 15.
That's what we did.
Yep. And I came home and I was so drunk. Okay. I was a mess.
So you were still drunk from the night before?
Oh, absolutely.
Or you never stopped drinking?
No. I don't know what time I stopped, to be absolutely honest with you. But I got dropped home and then I had to make up the stairs. Oh my word. Okay, there's stairs up to the front door. That was a challenge. That probably took me 2-3 hours. I don't know. And then I got into the house and then had to make up the stairs to go to bed. And I remember the next day, and I'm just like, oh man, the regret's there, but the fear of, oh, mum and dad, I'm underage drinking. I've been out all night. I mean, I've broken every rule, right? And I walked downstairs, and my mum's just smiling at me. My dad's just smiling at me, just a knowing smile that, right?
You're
I did
kidding.
not get into a second's trouble, right? Now, I
That's
may.
convicting.
Oh,
Did you
man.
feel even worse?
I so did. I did. I really did.
Yeah.
But I did get a helper on that day, because
Yeah.
what happened is I went and I sat on the lounge and I was like, oh, and this beautiful little dog came bouncing through the room and then jumped on my lap and cuddled up with me, right? And it was the first time I'd ever met my little dog Sally that I used to have.
Cute.
Yeah, and that my mum had actually got her the night before, and she fell in love with me, and that was it. So my first experience of this beautiful new pet was she was cuddling up to me, and quite frankly, probably distracting the whole experience for the fact that mum and dad are just smiling. And I thought,
What
I
is
mean,
going on?
I really think it was excellent parenting. I really do.
I do. I
Yeah.
agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree, because it's kind of putting it onto them, isn't it? It's saying this is your responsibility. Like I remember doing that to one of my daughters.
Right.
I didn't know what to do with her, and I was thinking to myself, what do I do as a mother here?
Mhm.
Do I go into her room and bust her?
Yeah.
Do I, totally,
What's in the manual here? Hang on.
yeah, do I? And I mean, by this stage, I ought to have been a full bottle on all this. But suddenly I had this download,
Mhm.
and it was like, go to her and say, hey, look, I'm here if you need me. And
Right.
I know, and it's like drawing their character.
Mhm.
I know you've got
Yep.
this.
Yep.
I know you can do this. And when you believe in them, there's something very convicting about that.
Well, okay. Again, I'm not the expert in NLP here, but okay, to me, there's a wiring issue right there in a positive way, because with parenting like that, you're wiring your kids to
Mm.
sort out their own problems,
Yeah.
take personal responsibility, right? Like for me, that occasion for me was about personal responsibility.
Mm.
For you as a parent in that situation, you're giving your child that responsibility. You're not taking it on board, and you're not
True.
right.
True.
And I think that's, I mean, you can't wire your child as you're not a control kind of a freak,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the lessons that you teach them and your actions
Yeah.
very much will help shape them and wire them the way they need to go
Yeah.
forward.
I totally agree. In fact, I was the oldest,
Right.
right? So I got all the, my father was so overprotective
You're
of
the
me.
practice child.
And yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And my younger sister, it's not that she was totally innocent, but
Okay.
she watched everything I did.
Gotcha.
And she was just smarter,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
And, it was like she learnt all the lessons
Right.
from watching me. But, all the overprotectiveness
Yep.
did not work. It made me worse.
Really?
Like Dad saw I got a bad report. I
Mhm.
was one of the first in an experimental school. I won't name the school, but I
Right.
was literally actually the second generation that had gone through this school. It was
Okay.
in the Willetton area. I will say that, right?
I reckon I know which one
And
it is. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
and it wasn't Ross Point.
No.
However, I went into that school, and my father, he was so strict. I wasn't even allowed to go to the discos. I wasn't allowed to do anything.
No way.
No, I was not
Oh.
allowed to go anywhere, which made me want to do it more.
Of course it did. Yeah.
And, it was just
And it
part of
makes
my
you-
rebellion,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, the fact is that because he was so strict,
Mhm.
I used to sneak around. He ended up taking me out of that school, putting me into a convent.
Whoa. Whoa.
So
Wow.
I know, right? And I went to this convent
Yes.
where there was nuns.
Right.
All the nuns loved me because I was really small and little, and I think I looked innocent.
Right.
But the lay teachers, they kind of.
They're onto you.
But I wanted to be one of the cool kids, and I tell you what, my sister,
Mm.
she was such a much better teenager than I
Really?
ever was, and I know it's because Dad took the hands off her a little bit,
Okay.
and he gave her that little bit, almost like, I don't trust you, I don't trust the world, I'm going to make sure that I totally mollycoddle you.
Mm.
And then, well, let's just take the hands off a little bit. And it drew her character. She was more
Okay.
independent.
Right.
She made a lot more better decisions than I ever
In
did.
defense of your dad, okay,
Mm.
okay, as a dad, when you have a daughter, it is one of the most terrifying things you could possibly live.
Is that
Okay,
right?
oh my word! Yes, you are so like you love them so much, and you just want to protect them so much. Like
You kill them with love?
you do, and you just and also okay. The great problem is okay when it comes to boys,
Mm,
we know what boys are like because we know what we were like. Okay,
that's it.
so we go,
Bam.
you know what? Yeah, so you're wanting to protect your beautiful little daughter. Okay,
Mm,
and now
mm.
I know this is terribly sexist, double standard 101. I'm never going to lie. Okay, but with my sons, I was very much more rub some dirt in it, you'll be fine. Okay,
Is that
yeah,
right?
like yes, you'll be fine, mate. Like
Yep,
we
yep.
expect, and that comes from when you're younger and you sort of roughhouse it and rough
Mm.
play with your boys because you kind of preparing them for life's because life's a lot tougher
Yeah.
for men. I don't
Yeah.
care what anyone says. We'll have this argument till the cows come home, but life is a lot tougher for men than it is for women,
Mm.
right? So you need to prepare your men, your sons to be men for that
Yes.
lifestyle. But the other side is you overprotect your daughters.
Right.
You do.
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
And because they are your princess.
That makes
What
a
you do.
lot of sense. So, dads, if you're listening out there, there may be element of truth in drawing the character and allowing them to take responsibility. It's like one day I had a couple, they were in their 60s, so they were no spring chickens,
No?
and their son was like 40s. So he
Okay.
was no spring chicken
Not at
either.
all. No.
And he was hopelessly addicted to drugs.
No.
And oh yeah, and the worst kind. And
Oh.
he would steal from them.
Okay.
And I mean, they loved him so much.
Of course it is.
And
It's your
you
boy.
know, they sat in my clinic. Somebody referred them to come and see me. And they sat there and they anguished over the decisions this boy was making or this man was making,
Sure.
how they were kind of giving into him in a way as well. And sometimes when he was asking for money, they would give them. They would give
mistake.
him the money, right? And, you know, I said to them, the first thing that you need to do, it's not about bringing your son in here.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to see if they could bring him in and see me.
Okay.
It's about you knowing how to handle this first and giving him that responsibility so he can take that ownership for himself.
Totally get that.
Like, you know, if he's out doing what he wants, like I heard this wasn't my story, but another person went to the doctor and they said, I don't know what I'm going to do about my son. You know, he's addicted to drugs. He hasn't got a job. He's
Right.
doing this and that. And the doctor said, well, where is he now? Oh, he's out on the ski slopes. Well, actually, he doesn't have a problem. It's you guys
spot on.
that
There's your
have the problem. And do you know, there was this big shift, and it's about stoicism.
Okay.
You like that word,
I do.
stoicism?
I like
Yeah.
stoic. It's good
Stoic.
stuff.
Stoic.
Makes me think of like,
Yeah.
you know, well-dressed men from the
Mm.
40s, you know,
Yeah.
wearing that three-piece suit, kind of staunch but sensitive. Does that work?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I mean, the late Queen Elizabeth was stoic.
Great example.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And so these guys had to become
Let's
to
try.
add us
There we
to
go. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on, but we
blowing
are
up
back.
technology,
We are.
Aaron.
I did say that I didn't know how to use this stuff, but I promise
Mm.
I didn't touch anything. So
It
there
could
you
be
go.
a conspiracy.
It could be.
You
Do you
know?
know what the difference between a conspiracy theory and fact is? About 6 months. That's about it.
My goodness. Yeah, you
Oh.
just never know. But
never
the
know.
more, you know, we're going to sort of amp it up here. And to finish that conversation, you know, that man did end up coming in and seeing me.
Right.
And it was never about, you know, telling him what he was doing was wrong. It was
Okay.
about drawing his character, making him see life as he wanted it.
Okay.
And what he wanted, I'll tell you what he wanted.
What
Did
did
you
he
know
want?
what he wanted? You would
Tell
know,
me what
you
you
would
want, what you really,
understand
really
this. And he wanted his kids.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. He was, I mean, this guy, he was, beard, tattoos, and he sat there crying his eyes out because he lost his kids.
Mhm.
But he lost them to DCP.
Right.
And they'd said, look, we can't get you through this until you go into rehabilitation for
Sure.
6 months. You've got to be able to do this. You've got to be able to do that. And I remember asking him the question, what do you want to see yourself doing, say, in 3 months? And he got so upset. And I gave him a minute. I left the room, right?
Okay.
I came back in and he said, Terry, I'm lucky to know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, let alone to be able to see my future. And then I said to him, well, you talk about wanting your kids. How much do you want them? He said, more than anything in the world.
I can understand.
And I went, well, you've got to create that in your mind. So what if you could see yourself sitting around the table? So no talk of the drug addiction, no
Sure.
talk of any of that jazz. It was all about his vision, and his vision to be able to imagine
Mhm.
himself sitting there with his kids and eating a meal, just doing something simple
very,
like that.
very normal.
Yeah. Not jumping out of a plane or flying to Japan, but just sitting around the table. And you know what? He had that session, and, then we discovered we had to look at why the drug addiction, what's so good about
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And, once they get to know it inside out and backwards, that's when it becomes a decision.
Okay.
So the addiction turns to a decision
Mhm.
because they can make the choice. I'm going to blow this out of the water,
Okay. Oh, here we go.
And you know what? He went away. That was a session. But before he went away, I just need to
Mhm.
say this piece. We went back on his timeline and we
Right.
found a time in his life
Mhm.
where something had happened to him and he was just a child.
Okay.
And it probably had a little bit to do with his addiction, because when we are addicted to something,
Mhm.
like let's just say we like to have, alcohol, a couple of glasses of wine. I know I do. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
yep.
going to admit that. I like to have a glass of wine.
There is nothing wrong with a
Mm.
glass of wine or three.
Yeah.
The reality is it's all about control and your moderation
Yes.
and
It's when it's got control of you.
spot on. Yep.
So if you can do things in that moderation and be able to know, well, I'm in control here. But you know why people get addicted to stuff?
So many different reasons. So I'm very curious to hear what you
It's
think.
one word,
Mhm.
dopamine.
Ooh, yeah. I get that. 100% understand that.
Dopamine just gives you this incredible feeling. And that goes for your friend
Mhm.
who was sneaking around
Yeah,
smoking.
true.
There's a bit of dopamine behind
gotta be.
that. Yeah.
Because I was actually going to say, so interesting you say that, because to me, I, I think that just about every person I've ever known with a drug issue, an alcohol issue, or anything like that, it has all been about self-medicating, right? And they're
Absolutely.
chasing that dopamine, right? Simple as
Mhm.
that. They need
Yeah.
it because something horrible is in their life. There's some issue in their life, and they are trying to dull that down.
They
And
are.
there's that search of that drug that the body makes, dopamine, but you're looking for some other path to get that
Yeah,
feeling.
they're comforting
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah.
And it all starts in babyhood when we have a dummy. Have you
Oh.
seen how addictive dummies are?
Yes, unbelievable.
And
I
then-
had a
yeah.
daughter who was addicted to the dummy.
Yeah.
Quite
And,
a
and
massive
there's the
challenge to
first
get 'em off.
addiction right
Yep.
there. Or they could be a thumb sucker.
Mhm.
So right from the get-go, we form these comfort dopamine
Yeah.
addictions. And it's so weird. So anyway, going back to this story with this guy.
Yeah.
So he went away from the session.
Mhm.
Now his girlfriend called me up and said,
Okay.
what on earth did you do? I went, I don't know why. Is everything okay? And
Yep.
she said, he came home and he was sobbing like a baby. And I went, okay. I said, look, maybe that's not such a bad thing. And then he came in for his follow-up.
Mhm.
He goes, what the heck did
Mhm.
you do? I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't do anything. Like, did I tell you to stop taking drugs? I didn't tell you to stop taking drugs now, did I? But you see, even those words, stop, it's a command.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now is another command. So when you
Yeah.
say, I didn't tell you to stop doing that now,
Mhm.
you're actually telling them
Of course you are. Yep.
that.
Yep.
Because there's no resistance, there's no barrier, there's no wall. But anyway, his version of the story was, have you ever tried any of these illicit drugs, Terry? Like, do you know what it's even like to, like something like speed or anything like that? And he went on and he said, it hypes you up. It gets your brain really kind of like Lucy, if you've
Sure.
seen the movie Lucy, right? Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't. No,
Oh,
no.
oh, I mean, that's scary, but she
Right.
ends up almost combusting by the end of
I've
the
seen the
movie.
shorts. That was
But
enough.
it's a absolute crack. That's crack on steroids.
Right.
And he said the drug had the total opposite effect on me.
Right.
I hated it. That's what he said.
Wow.
I hated it. I went, well, I didn't do that. But you know what happened? There was a neuropathway association.
Right.
And that neuropathway, he did it on his own accord just
Okay.
by our conversation. He put that association of his drugs with the loss of his children.
Yep.
And that was his biggest motivation. 3 sessions, he'd cut a habit he'd had since he was 14. He was in his 40s.
No way.
I'm not
That's
joking.
brilliant.
And, furthermore, he had to go to court because he had to have blood tests. He had to do all that stuff. And you know all about what that
The
place is
rigmarole
like.
of all the
But
lies.
they had to have me on a loudspeaker
Right.
to, confirm that he'd had so many sessions. Now, 3 sessions is what did it.
Sure.
But, obviously he went 7, to make sure that he was doing the
Mhm.
right thing. And actually they were very skeptical about him seeing me because, there's kind of like the accreditation is different
Oh,
to
no. It's a
Yeah.
boys, girls
Mm.
club, whatever you want to call it. It's a
Mm.
club. And
Right.
no. They only listen to, I'll be very straight with you.
Mm.
Family court only listen to the specialist that they want to listen to.
Right.
Right. So even if someone's unbelievably qualified,
Mm.
if they're not in the little purple circle, right, then they don't get any recognition. I've actually seen a psychiatrist with almost 50 years of experience, the top psychiatrist here in Western Australia, be effectively almost laughed off the witness stand.
Wow.
Right. There's no credibility in that place.
That is
So
sad.
the thing is, to be
Mm.
absolutely frank, they wanted more sessions because they want to draw things out, because they want to make more time, because therefore they make more money. It's just about
Right.
money.
Yeah.
And it's just
so
like,
selfish.
it is unbelievably selfish.
Mm.
But for my mind, I want that guy to get better. Right.
Yeah.
That really simple as that. I want him to get better,
Yes.
get rid of that addiction, get rid
Yep.
of the issues in his life
Mm.
that have caused that, and get your kids back in your life.
Yeah. Yes.
This is,
Yeah.
everybody needs a why. Okay.
That's
We all
it.
need a why.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's really cool that he was able to sort of, move the plugs around, right? And
Yeah.
rewire himself to go and associate those two things together and make that fundamental change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if people want to safely at home do this kind of thing, what Aaron's talking about, finding your why. So it may be the fact that you want to give something up. You've got to look at what's on the other side of that. But, Dean Grazios and
Mhm.
Anthony Robbins will say to you, ask yourself 7 times why you want something over and over
Really?
and over.
Okay.
Yeah. And you go down until you hit, and it could happen before you hit 7 times.
Okay.
But what happens is the moment pain comes out,
Mhm.
like you might say, well, I want to give up drugs, alcohol, smoking,
Sure.
vaping, for my kids.
Yep.
Because I want to be able to live a long life. I want to be able to have fun with my kids. I want to be able to do life with my kids, right? Whatever that is, it might be a different why. Then why is that so important?
Why is that so important?
And then why is that so important? And why is that so important?
Why?
So when you go down why 7 times, at least somewhere down that section of asking yourself why, you're going to be able to discover the pain behind your why. And when your why is big enough, the how takes care of itself.
I'm just going through and checking messages.
Yeah.
So this is just a more
So
convenient way.
yes, because last week we were silent and had no sound.
Oh, look at this. We're on top of it. It's
And,
all good. No,
yeah,
we're all good there.
we're all
but
good. That's
um,
great. That's
one
great.
question has come in about vaping.
Nice.
Okay, let's talk
Shoot
about
ahead.
vaping.
Shoot
Okay.
me with it.
Okay, literally it just says, how do I give up vaping? Very complicated.
Very good question.
And I'm not laughing at the question. I'm laughing at the, you know what? I love it when
Yeah.
people are straight. There's no beating around the bush. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
how do I
that's
give
a
it up?
straightforward
That's great.
question.
Let's check for others.
Okay, so firstly, what you've got to understand is that vaping is very alluring, very attractive. And, I think it was a bit like a trap of the devil. I
Right.
feel that they even posed it like the worst kind of drug pushers on the planet to be safe and
Yeah.
a better option than cigarettes.
Well, like I thought it was to start with. And I mean, I had no interest in doing it. But to me, I thought there wasn't nicotine in it. I thought there wasn't any of the nasties. I kind of thought it was, you're kind of sucking on a flavored, lolly.
Have you ever tried it?
No.
I admit I did. And it
Okay.
wasn't that long ago because one of the kids in the circle, it was Christmas night, he was vaping, right? I went, "What are you doing?"
Yep.
And so I must admit, I had a little bit of a
Had a
go
go?
on it. And I thought, yeah, I could see how that could be, alluring. But see, because of the flavor, and people can sit on the bus and, put it under their shirt and no one would
No one
actually
knows.
know.
This is a good point.
So, here's the thing, right? There is a little thing in neuro-linguistic programming
Yep.
called the swish pattern.
Okay. I have no idea what this is, but
Mhm.
I'm really curious. So
Okay.
hit me.
So it's almost like when Bandler and Grinder made this up.
Okay.
They were being really funny buggers. Like they say treat every single person like they're a kindergarten kid.
All right.
So the more animated you can become,
Yep.
the more kind of enthusiastic you will be. So it's about, on one hand or on one side, you've got to visualize yourself doing that vaping. Yeah, you've got to actually see yourself doing that.
Okay.
You've got to also understand that there is a reason that you're doing it and what you like about it. Now, there was a guy, I don't remember his first name, I think it might have been Eric Carr, and he wrote a book on quit smoking. He was brilliant at it.
Okay.
And his way of doing it, it was like a swish pattern, but swish pattern is more interactive, active, and it's a little bit fun, especially if you're a kid, right? And so what the crust of it is about, because I know that obviously you're not in the room, you're listening to this, you're interested in what you can do to quit that addiction.
Yep.
And probably the best analogy I can give you is to write down on a piece of paper all the reasons that you love doing it. What is so good about it? Why are you actually doing that as often? And I believe that when people are addicted to vaping,
Sure.
they're doing it quite often.
Okay.
And how many times a day are you doing this? Get involved in these questions. And what is it that you feel that you're gaining out of it? Now, turn it around.
All right.
And ask yourself the question, what would be the best thing about quitting it now? So when you can list, so you're writing a list of why it's going to be a great thing to quit it,
Right.
and why it's so great about doing it, right? So you're sort of kind of like they're fighting with each other.
Yeah, okay.
They're
it's
really
the two little,
fighting.
the little devils on your shoulders.
Yeah,
or that
the
devil
two,
and the angel.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But at least you're not getting that resistance because, you're not going against the shadow side, if you like. So once you've done that, and look, I would say leave the piece of paper on the table or somewhere in your bedroom so you can add to the list.
Okay.
And make sure you might do 3 things a day, but just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Now, then on the right-hand side,
Yes.
if you're still doing this in 5 years, what are the repercussions? How many hours would have you spent doing this? how much money would have it costed you? What would be the cost on your body, right?
Right. And you
So
are
this
you
is the
putting this
last
into
thing.
different columns?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Just making sure.
So you've got 3 columns here.
Yeah.
Now, when we do the swish pattern, so that's more a therapy session, you are really getting them to look at what they're doing when they're doing it
Okay.
and see it, hear it, and feel it, and then look at what they're doing when they're free of it. So how is that going to look? What are they going to be, like, say, in 5 years, especially?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you vape with the consequences you're looking at, what is it going to mean for your family? What is it going to mean for your health?
Mhm.
What if it changes your health
It very well
situation?
could. Yeah.
And that's what we're facing. And we don't even know the repercussions. And I've even heard someone who's addicted,
Mhm.
who happens to be very close to me, say, "Oh no, but I take the good stuff."
Yeah, I heard that one too.
So
That exact comment, I've
they're
heard that as well.
justifying it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, are you even ready for this? Are you even ready? Because people sometimes there's a part of them that doesn't want to give it up.
Oh, no. They're not until they're ready, they're probably not going to do it anyway. They're
Yeah.
probably not going to give up.
Yeah.
Just on the reasons actually, and I'll sort of wind back too about we've talked about peer pressure, right? And cigarettes back in our day, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. As I say, I was very lucky. It didn't stick on me, but like it stuck on just about everybody else I know. So the baby boomers and Generation X like myself, we as a community, there's a lot of smoking going on.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
Okay. It's almost like a rite of passage, particularly in your teens, and some people carried on with it. But I was speaking to a 20-year-old the other day, and that's a daughter of some of my friends. And anyway, we hadn't seen each other for ages, and I sort of, oopsie days, oh, that's a carton. That we
$50.
Oh, okay, cheap carton. I'd rather have the carton. We'll drink the beer together. It'll be okay. Or maybe a nice bottle of wine. Who knows?
That's
But
better.
yeah,
Now we're
you
talking.
see how I'm trying to share? Okay,
Oh,
I can see you're
you're
not a
good.
beer drinker. I was just trying to be helpful.
Mind you, I don't mind a beer in the summer.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll be into that. Yeah, obviously you haven't been around here on a Thursday. Anyway,
Yet.
you'll have to invite yourself. You just got invited from me anyway. But yeah, look, she's 20 years old, but I've watched her grow up. Okay, I haven't seen her for a couple of years. Known her since she was very, very young. And she said in conversation, and I said, "Well, yeah, what's new?" No. And she said in conversation, she said, "Oh yeah, and I vape," and like the disappointment in her face, like, "Oh, and I vape." And then she said, "Because that's what we do now." Right? And I said, "Like smoking 30, 40 years ago?" And she goes, "Yeah, we just vape now."
And you just wouldn't say that saying that your parents would say back in the day. If 10 people jumped off a cliff, would you?
No, that's
I
right.
mean, you wouldn't say that,
No, you
even
wouldn't.
though I just did.
I
But
mean,
you
look,
know,
I said to her, I said, "Look, you do you,
mm,
you know, but it's not great for you."
yeah,
And
yeah,
that I just left it at that, because okay, maybe that'll have no effect, maybe it'll have a little effect,
yeah,
maybe that plants a seed. I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
But I know it's not good for her. And
yeah,
I want her to be healthy.
yep.
So
There's hope though,
yeah,
Aaron. I
just
mean,
plant a seed
vaping, apparently
than
it's really hard,
okay.
in the real world.
Okay.
But NLP is not the real world.
Okay.
It's a supernatural world.
Right.
So, you're dealing with the part of the brain that people are not used to dealing with.
Okay.
So when you're talking to the subconscious, you're able to make an inroad. But there is something more addictive apart from drugs, right? There is something more addictive than vaping, and that's gambling.
Okay.
And it's a terrible thing
It
because
really is.
people they lose their whole life
They do.
through gambling. And I have actually helped gamblers.
Really glad to
And
hear that.
yeah, I have indeed. And this one guy said, "Far out, you need to clone yourself." He couldn't even watch something on television without making a bet.
Really?
And yeah, but it does take, I reckon, 3 sessions.
Okay.
And usually in 3 sessions, if someone's just coming along and they want to sort of improve their life, they want to kind of get more motivated and do those kinds of things, they don't have a major addiction.
Sure.
They can come in, do 3 sessions and really, really coast along. With an addiction,
Yep.
you're going to need 3 solid sessions.
Okay.
Number 1 is going to be to face it and to really get to know what the person loves about it,
Okay.
why they do it, and to understand that they can make the decision. It's got to be their decision, but
does.
story does
that.
come into play.
Okay.
So one of the greatest things you can ever do
Mhm.
is to, tell a story, because it's very unintrusive. You're not pointing it directly at them. And, Milton Erickson, the great hypnotherapist, he used to wear purple pajamas and sit in his wheelchair because he was
Right.
colorblind. So he wore purple.
Okay.
And he used to speak in a very strange voice. And he wouldn't put people to sleep. I love this man. I call him my great, 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 great grandfather, even if he's not by blood.
Right.
But, he was able to tell a story about someone else, a similar situation,
Yeah.
and how they turned it around. And interestingly enough, that would speak to that person's subconscious. But in the first session, if you can get to the absolute clarity of what it's all about,
Yep.
get to know your addiction like you're going to become best friends. I'm about to become your friend. And really get into it. Like I said, that piece of paper, have it sitting around and add to it. Jot it down.
Okay. Yeah.
Add to it and let that be there. So there's no excuse, because if you make someone do that, or you ask someone to do that and you say, right, I want you to do that for me,
Under
get it
pressure.
to me
It's good,
tomorrow.
it's good. Yeah.
It's like, nah. And then there's all the excuses. You want to completely delete excuses. So there's no excuse by having a piece of paper there in front of
Yep.
you. What have you got to lose? Just
Not a
add to it.
thing. Yeah.
Nothing. So number 2, second session.
Okay.
This is where we bend time.
Oh dear.
Mm.
Sounds messy.
Yeah, it's very, very, very fun, very powerful. The swish pattern is a popular one, but the swish pattern is where you're jumping in and out of the addiction
Okay.
and the freedom.
All right.
And you're always ending up on the freedom side, but you jump into the addiction, you feel it, you jump into the freedom, you grab the what they call the submodalities.
Right.
And submodalities is the way the brain is coded.
Okay.
So it's the way subconscious kind of perceives things, big, small, colorful, dark.
Mine uses a broken Enigma machine. Just,
wow.
Just
See, that's cool. But you could change that. See, if you wanted to, if that was something that was attached to something great, you wouldn't want to change it.
No.
But if it was attached to something that you were doing that you wanted to release, you could kind of make it smooth, change the shape, change the color. This is called energetics.
Okay.
And it's all the submodalities of the way we code our brain with color, size, shape. You see, when we remember things, it's never the complete truth.
Right.
You know that.
Yeah, well, I've got a memory like a goldfish, so I just do my best.
But
what's a lovely rock? What's a lovely rock?
What's
a lovely rock?
Yeah, exactly. But you cannot possibly remember everything in detail.
No way.
And then you extravagance it.
Yeah.
I made that word up.
I like it. I'm going to use it myself. But I'm thinking that, okay, it's like when people see a crime, okay, and then you've got someone who can go through the witness as a witness rather and go, yes, he was wearing, blue jeans, his eye color was this, whatever. And I'll just go, it's a bloke. I know he's about that much taller than me. And he had hair.
He had hair.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm just, but what I'm getting at
That's good.
You
generalized it compared to someone else.
Some people, right, will go and can focus right in there, and that's how their brain works. And they go, right. Whereas I will be looking at the much, much, much bigger picture. So I will.
That says a lot about you.
Yeah, well, I think so. But so like maybe they can really see in high def. Okay, whereas what I'm trying to do in that situation. I mean, obviously you've got different. You act differently in different situations, but in that situation, if I was watching a crime, I'd be taking in a lot going on all over the place. So you're kind of watching in standard def, so that you can pick up more information.
So you
was-
see it in 3D?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so you see it in 3D. Wow. So big picture, that says a lot about you. So you're a big picture person. So you're
Lots of
going
it.
to be the great visionary in the company,
Right.
for example. But you're gonna need people. Did I say gonna?
Gunner.
You're going to need people. That was really
Oh,
Aussie
you
lingo
know what?
there.
You sure was, Sheila. You've done all right, love.
Have a go, you mug.
Having said that, side note, and we're going to have to finish the show in a moment, but I'll tell you right now, speaking of Aussie, I popped out for lunch earlier and I saw one of the greatest mullets of all time. My word.
No.
What dedication. This was down. Oh, this was past his jeans, and he sort of shaved the top. So it wasn't business at the front and party at the back. I mean, it was a party boat at the back. I mean, this was a
Wow.
sailing ship, and there was just nothing going. It was impressive. It was awful.
It was a real
But
mullet.
oh my word, that's dedication for you.
Man.
Tell you what,
Haven't you got a mullet wig hanging around somewhere?
sort of in the other room. Yes, I do.
Wow. I tell
Yes, I
you, the
do.
mullet, I don't know what we were thinking back in the 80s when that happened. But, you
Oh.
know, Aaron, you would need people around you that see more of that
No, I thoroughly
micro
agree.
detail.
And that's what you need to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
need
and you've got
exactly
that.
right. Yeah,
You've got
I
that,
very much have that.
which
I'm
is
very,
so
very lucky
good.
because
So
yeah,
good.
and that's what you've got to do. The old, be the dumbest guy in the
Mm.
room, right? Surround yourself with people who have got expertise in the things that you lack.
Yes. Yeah.
Know your strengths, know your weaknesses.
Yeah.
I can come in, wave the arms around, and make a. I can see the big picture and I can make the vision and create the vision, but I am nothing without the people who will clean up for me, clean up aisle 4, and get the details done. Right?
There you go.
Yeah, and
That's
those
what makes the world go
yeah, it
round.
does,
All
absolutely.
different types
Yeah.
of people. And, that says a lot. So when you're looking at a crime scene, it's generalized compared to someone who says, oh, no, they were wearing, they had hair, they had blue eyes, they had this, they had
Yeah.
that. So, we are really zooming in on everything.
Okay.
And we're helping them to zoom in on what they're doing when they're addicted. So
Yep.
if you've got the vaping thing happening, you've got to zoom in and see it. But not only that, you've got to get into it and feel it and get it into your body so you can really recognize it while you're in control.
Thoroughly
And
agree.
then when
really
you
cool.
float out, you're looking over at the other side.
Right.
And then you're stepping into the freedom.
Ooh.
You're going into, and even like going years in advance, where, okay, if you ran 2 timelines and one path you're going vaping for the next 10 years,
Yep.
the other path, this is where I quit, and 10 years down the track, what's the difference?
Yep.
Like, how's that side doing
Compare the
compared
pair.
to
Come on,
that?
yeah.
And, just quickly to round up on bending time, if you take a person back
Mhm.
to before they had the habit
Mhm.
and you re-imprint that,
Okay.
and then you recode those moments where they vaped.
And that's the secret to it. Yeah.
That is, but with the techniques obviously that we use
Oh, yeah.
and the modalities of neurolinguistic programming, utilizing their subconscious, because everyone's got an imagination, and that's all the subconscious is, an
Okay.
imagination.
Okay.
That's on automatic.
You've got to have the tools. Okay.
That's it.
Simple as that. You know what? You can't fix a car with a lump of wood. I have tried. All right.
You have?
I have. That's fact. I'm going to end the show there. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always.
Thank
Look,
you.
don't forget to catch the replay on the weekend. When do we play the replay of the show?
Sunday, 3 p.m.
You certainly do at edgeradioaustralia.com. That is edgeradioaustralia.com. You can hear the audio of this, of course, and you can catch this video, all through the socials, and away you go on that at the Edge Radio Australia. What do they call it thing? YouTube page. That's it.
YouTube
Like and
page.
subscribe.
Wow.
I've got to be one of those YouTubers. I just have no talent for this at all. You're supposed to like and subscribe. Tell your friends, right? That's what you're
Yeah,
supposed
like
to do.
and subscribe.
Sounds good. All right, we're out of here. This is the Genius Zone with Terry Messenger on Edge Radio Australia.